when Dwayne went away to go to college here, I mean, you thought it was the end of the world for his mother. That's why we moved from Tampa up to Miami, because she couldn't cut the apron strings.
Okay.
I said, you got to let him go. He's 20 years old. He's in college, you know. And so we're all very close, you know, with my wife and her, and we all get together. We're all together last Christmas. Dwayne's ex-wife works for him, you know, and he has a daughter, and now he has another little daughter. So there was no lawyers or nothing involved, you know.
Was Dwayne always a wrestling fan?
Always, yeah. You know where he learned to talk? When the VCRs first came out, we bought him one, and we bought him a camera like you had. And he'd set up on the tripod and he'd do interviews. Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Snuka, Rocky Johnson. And he would entertain himself for hours. And he was Roddy Piper. How, you know, and he just loved it. So then he goes and plays football. Then he plays college ball. Then he goes and plays for the Calgary Stampeders. And he come back and he says, Dad, I want to talk to you. So I go, uh-oh, he got somebody pregnant. And he said, I played college ball, I played high school ball, I played pro. It's not in my blood. I don't want to play no more. I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, I want to wrestle. I said, okay. I said, your grandfather's a wrestler, I'm a wrestler. So if I'm going to train you, I'm going to train you 150%. And I was hard on him, but he never gave up. Then one day he was clowning around, and I said, look, if you want sympathy, go home to your mother and get it. He said, that's where I'm going. He walked all the way home, 2 miles. And when I got home, his mother didn't want to speak to me. What are you doing to our son? You're making him walk in the rain? I said, because he's clowning around. If you're going to be this, you got to take it serious. I took it serious. It's my life and my career.
Now, you started to talk about the training of your son. Was it just you training him pretty much one-on-one?
Yeah, just me. I took him down. I had a friend of mine who had a karate school and a boxing school, Cisco. And he had a ring in there. It was an old ring, all banged up, beat up. But I took him down. Ron Slinkert, which I broke into business, was passed away the same day I got inducted in the Hall of Fame. He would come down and help me. And then all of a sudden I'm reading where Pat Patterson trained him, this one trained him. I've never been in the ring with him. And when he was ready, because I was with Pat for 9 years in San Francisco, I said, you want to take a look at him? So I went down and I worked with him, and Pat watched and actually I made him look good. He went back to Vince and said, you got to bring Rocky's son in. And Vince said, when? Pat said, yesterday. And they brought him in. They took him, when his first match was in Corpus Christi, Texas. And when he came back, I can't think of his name now, I'll think of it in a minute, said to him, Vader said to him, where you been working before? He said, no, this is my first match. And they couldn't believe it. Because 3 months he's telling me he was ready. And he knew all the holes. But I can take a 6-year-old kid, teach him my arm bar and that. I had to teach him psychology. And I put psychology. And what he did, when Pat Patterson said, what's wrong with you? You're not like your dad. You're not throwing the jabs. You're not throwing drop kicks. He looked at Pat and said, my dad's Rocky Johnson. I'm Dwayne Johnson. And he took his own style.
So you made the call to Pat. Pat brought him in. He was Vince said to sign him, and then
yeah, they signed him. And it was so funny. Vince said to me, "I'll have your son a millionaire within 2 years." And I said to myself, "Sure." He's told me the same thing. But he got Stone Cold clicked. Within 2 years, he made over $1 million. The rest is history. And it's funny to go into the movie part here. They asked him 5 times to go on Saturday Night Live, and he wouldn't go.
Right.
He wouldn't go. He wasn't saying, I'm not interested. So Vince said, would you finally do it for me? Because Vince did the introduction to Saturday Night Live. You know, Vince, he wanted to get his territory open, but, you know, his head's like this. So he goes on it. He did 6 different skits, and they seen how versatile he was. They sent him to California, and he's in Guinness's record books. It's the highest paid first-time actor ever when he did the Scorpion King.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
And I guess his first TV acting role was playing you.
Playing me,
yeah.
When on that 70s show. I had to sign like 15 papers for him to use my name and everything.
What did you think of that? I guess that looking back on it, that must be quite...
yeah, but I look back at it now, I still have the tape, you know, and Ernie Ladd was in it. And And I watched it and I said, he sounds so much like me in the way he worked and everything, you know. And he wrestled the midget and he come back and said, look at that, midget bites all over me.
Now, would say his best feud that you enjoyed the most in WWE was his feud with Austin?
Yeah. And Vince will tell you to this day, they're drawing money. They're making money. But they made more money when Bret Hart, Dwayne, and Stone Cold were there. You know, so, you know, they go places now where they do 20,000, now the houses are down to 10,000. But they're not losing any money. You know, they're just not if they end up making 800, say they made 800 million for the year, but 10 years ago they were making 200 million, you know, or 500, 900 million or whatever. I mean, look at WrestleMania, that's $1 billion. It goes all over the world. You know, you want to pay $79 to watch it? Fine. I watch it because I don't have to pay for it. But being in the business, I wouldn't sit and pay $79 to watch it, you know.
Were you concerned at all when they first brought him in and the gimmick may not have been the best?
Well, what had happened was he went to Tennessee first. Nobody knew this. He went Flex Cabana. And they were paying him like $300-400 a week in Tennessee. But Vince already had him on contract and Vince was paying him $500 a week. So, and he left there, so now he comes to New York and he wants to be Rocky Maivia. Respect to me and respect for his grandfather. And I said, that's great, but it's not going to get over. Because people are not going to be can identify with you. So what had happened was, it didn't get over. So he came back to me and he says, what do I do? Because Vince told him to think of a new angle because I think they were probably going to get rid of him because it wasn't getting over. I said, be yourself. I said, call yourself The Rock. And he went out there and he joined the Nation of Domination. He took over. He became a heel. But he took public speaking and that in college so he could talk. And then he come up with, well, they still call it SmackDown. You know, he was going down to SmackDown, Jabroni Hotel, and all that. And he started this feud, and it clicked. He got over just like that. And was he a great worker? No. Did he have psychology? Great psychology. He knew when to hold him. He knew when to fold him. I mean, when you could stand there over a guy and take one elbow pad and throw it this way, take another one, and go like this and hit the ropes, and give him an elbow, 1, 2, 3. You know, but I got over it. I said, look at me, I got to throw 10 drop kicks to try and get over it.
Right.
But he got over it just like that. And you know, rest is history. Vince wouldn't let him go.
Were you surprised at how successful he became in the movies?
Yes, I was, because I never had a dream that he'd ever be in the movies. Because he did that skit with that 70s show, and he didn't like it. And he wouldn't go on Saturday Night Live until Vince convinced him. So when he went to Hollywood to do Scorpion King, I figured, oh well, he'll get tired of it. Now look at him, the rest is history. He's the highest paid actor in the world.
Is there any movie of his that you particularly like?
Yeah, I like the ones where he has those kids, football players, young kids that are in prison, changing their life around after they get out. Like 70% made it, the other 30% went back to doing drugs. You know, and then he done the game plan where a family can watch it. Now he's this last one he done, Fast and Furious, and that it broke all world records. It did over $2 billion, but I'm not into that. 80 miles an hour and crashing up this car and shooting this guy. And he loves the game plan. He loves movies like that. But he's versatile. He can do any kind of movie.
Right.
He's just finishing one up now in Vancouver, Skyscraper. You know, where they got the motorcycles and all that stuff and all them goofy stunts. But I look at it and I go, maybe when I was his age I'd do it too. But I wouldn't do it today.
Maybe not unless you're getting the same pay they're paying him.
Yeah, but then it'd be a little different, yeah.
And speaking of that, if you could be in one movie with your son that he's already done, which movie would it have been and what role would you have?
I would have played the one with the kids, the football players, the football team he started, that because he worked with the kids and he worked with them one-on-one, and a lot of those kids that were in that detention center, you know, they had drug problems, they came from broken homes, so they really didn't have a chance in life. And he was his job to try and change their life around. And that was based on a true story, where this guy, and they offered him the role in the movie and he wouldn't take it. And 70% was successful, from 27% up to 70. So that's a good rating, Like, I've taken this kid and I've helped him and I've made something of him. Look at him now. Now he's this, or now he's a wrestler, or now he's a pro football player. Because they show you all that at the end. And they show you where this guy goes back to the gang, this one gets killed in a drive-by shooting, this one goes back and kills his stepfather. But you can't change the whole world. But I like those kind of movies where you're helping people.
And both of you guys were known for your strength and muscularity. How are you guys comparable in the gym at both of your primes? Did he ever match the lifts?
He never got up to 550. I did 555 bench at one time. And he got to 505. And I kept rubbing it in his face. Because he was bound, he was going. When he played for Miami Hurricanes, he was the strongest kid on the team. He was bench pressing like 505 pounds. But he could never get to that 5. I said, you'll never be as great. I said, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. But you didn't fall on the tree. And I'm the tree. So we have that kind of relationship. We're not father and son, we're best friends. There's nothing he wouldn't do for me, and he knows there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. And whatever he wants, for sure.
Do you think he's done with the wrestling side of the business? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. He's done.
It'd be crazy to go back.
Yeah.
And I told him that. And like he said, he likes to meet the guys, talk to them, help them. But as far as you get in the ring, well, his contract he can anyway. Because the last time he wrestled Cena in WrestleMania, he got a hernia. He had to have emergency surgery. They had to shut the set down for 3 weeks. Well, setting the set down, it cost him $200,000 a day. So look how much the movie. So they put in his contract. That's it. Now you can either say no and go back to wrestling, or you can stay in the movies. Now he has 2 movie companies. So he's doing very well.
Would you say he's the greatest star the wrestling business has ever produced?
I would say one of them, yes. I'd say he'd be in the top 3.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely.
He could definitely probably sell out any arena he
Oh,
wants.
when was he win? He would sell it out. He went with John Cena, he beat him for the belt. They waited a whole year to come back for a return. And he'd give him the belt back the same way Cena gave it to him.
Now he inducted you into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, me and my father-in-law, yeah.
What was that moment?
That was the greatest feeling in the world. But the greatest thing in a wrestling business that ever happened to me was I had a father and son match with him in Nassau, Bahamas. Me and him against a couple of local yokels that wore masks. And so I decided to let him take the fall. But he's in the dressing room telling me what to do and what not to do and how to do it. So we get out in the ring, he starts, boom, boom, boom. 2 minutes later, his tongue's hanging out, and he comes back to tag me. I said, what are you tagging me for? You know more than me, so go on back out. And I wouldn't tag him. And, then he got the message after I let him blow up where he couldn't breathe.
That was just a local company?
Yeah, it was just, it was run by a guy, I can't even remember his name, but they put on a show in Nassau. And there probably was maybe 800-900 people there. But it's a thrill when you can stand on the apron and look. How many in this business, they say there's father and sons, and we know they're not.
Right.
But I stood there and looked and said, that's my son. I'm passing the gavel to him.
And also, it's very rare to find a second-generation wrestler that will match or surpass.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Never happens.
Yeah, it never happened. I don't think it'll be a long time before it happens again.